So I went on a solo trip at the age of 20, and that too all at my own expense. But wait, how and why? I know you all have a lot of questions, and this video will be the perfect answer to all of your questions related to my solo trip. Let's begin. First of all, why solo trip? So multiple reasons. I always wanted to go on a solo trip because it would give me a sense of freedom, a sense of independence, and this is just another sort of experience that I wanted to have in my life. My exams just got over and I really needed to go somewhere, and this place like Rishikesh and this timeline of Feb, my parents couldn't accompany me because my siblings had their exams, and most of my friends from college, they left for home. And for my first solo trip, I wanted to be more of a learning trip rather than a traveling trip. And this thing doesn't really attract a lot of people my age, a lot of people who are 20 something. So I thought, okay, let's go on my own. Let's take the experience of a solo trip. Let's experience the freedom, independence, and also will learn something new. Number two, and the most common question that I got when I told you guys that I'm going on a solo trip, was that how did I convince my parents? So honestly, this was very tough. Basically, the idea of going on a solo trip to Rishikesh came to me 3 months back when I saw a reel by this page called Agni Yoga India. They run a yoga retreat in the city of Rishikesh, and I was really attracted to it. I thought that this is something that I really want to experience and I want to go there. And tabhi I thought that after my exams, I talked to my parents that I want to go here all alone. So before my exams were starting, I came back home and I talked to my mom a bit about this. She was not very sure about this, but at that point of time, she just told me that, okay, talk to your dad, whatever. And after my theory exams got over, so I came back home and I told him that this is the retreat, this is the place that I want to go, this is what I want to do. And to my surprise, he was very supportive. He even told me a lot of options. Initially, he honestly didn't like the retreat that I had suggested, but when I told him over a span of 10 days, what are my wants, what do I want from my solo trip, how do I want to go about it, he was very, very supportive. He had a few concerns of safety, security, which obviously every parent has, and he awared me about all of that. You know, turn on your location at all points, and I did all of that, and I loved this whole experience of solo trip, and I was so glad. मुझे नहीं लगा था that my parents would agree so easily, but this was much more easier than I had expected it to be. Next question is that how did I plan my trip? So like, as I told you that I saw a reel 3 months ago of this yoga retreat, I really wanted to join the retreat. So the smallest retreat that these guys were offering was a 5-day retreat, which was from 3rd to the 8th of Feb. So I thought, why not join it? Because the timings were very easy for me. My exams had just got over on the 30th, and I got a 3 days ka break, and third say the retreat was beginning. So this timeline was very, very convenient for me. They offered a few more excursions like a sunrise trip, Ganga Aarti, Ganga dip, aerial yoga ka class, sound healing sessions, and a hiking trip to a waterfall. I also had a lot of free time and I wanted to do more things. So what I did was I made a list of the cafes, the good cafes in Rishikesh that I want to try out, and also I made a list of activities or things that were not covered in this but were the major attractions of Rishikesh. For example, Beatles Ashram, for example, Parmath Niketan, for example, river rafting, bungee jumping also to an extent, but unfortunately I was not able to do that because uske liye pre-booking karna padta hai and I had no idea of it. I incorporated all of these activities in my free time and I just loved how the trip turned out. I did not go with any travel agent or took any package or anything. It was just the retreat and the other activities I planned myself. Some were impromptu, some were pre-planned, and that's how I went about the trip. Next up, let's talk about my expenses of the trip. So the one major expense of the trip was the retreat itself. So the retreat was a 5-day retreat. As I told you, all the inclusions I told you, the stay, the food, everything was taken care by them. p.m. and for 5 days with a private room, this retreat costed me 18,000 rupees. So like 80 to 85% of the activities that I had to do in Rishikesh were covered by the retreat. The classes, the stay, the food, the excursions, most of it was covered here. Now talking about the transportation. So for transportation, I took a train from Delhi to Rishikesh and a train back from Rishikesh to Mathura, and from Mathura I came to Agra by a car. So these two tickets were approximately 1,500 and 1,200 respectively. That comes up to be around 2,700. There was a taxi, like 2 taxis that we hired, one from the Haridwar railway station to this place where I stayed and one back from there to the railway station. That did not cost us anything actually because we had someone known there, so they helped us with the transport. Other than that, I did rafting, the 18-kilometer rafting, which costed me around rupees 600. Then I went to a cafe which was near about, the expense was near about 350 rupees, and I also went to take up an art class which costed me around rupees 600. Apart from that, the ticket cost was only rupees 75 at a Beatles ashram, and I don't think I gave any other entry cost at any other place. And all in all, if I also take into consideration the internal transport that I did using autos, so that I think would be less than rupees 500. So all of this combined together, my entire 5-day Rishikesh trip came under rupees 24,000, and I think this was completely worth it as a solo trip. Since I was a part of the retreat, I was a part of a group of people, it was very safe for me, very convenient for me. I didn't have to do a lot of work planning or executing things. Most of the things were pre-planned, everything was sorted enough, so I didn't have to do a lot of effort. So that way it was very much worth. Next up is also a very important question which a lot of girls asked, that was it safe and how did I manage, you know, the safety measures, what all did I take? So honestly, I agree that solo trips can be difficult. Solo trips are actually difficult, especially when you go as a solo girl, because then the safety point of view also comes in between. And I think for all of that, there are a few simple measures that I take always. Keep a pepper spray in your bag hamesha, like hamesha. And whenever you feel that you're alone, please turn on the location services of your phone and, you know, send your location to a few knowns, like 1 or 2 people whom you trust and whom you know can take action if God forbid anything happens. And number 3, be very careful, not just for the safety of you but for the safety of your belongings also, because, you know, taking care of your cash, your belongings is also really important. For that, I made sure that I didn't carry my wallet as such anywhere. I used to carry loose cash and very less cash with me, like the minimum amount of cash that would be required at a certain place, because cash once gone never really comes back. So I had to be very careful with that. I was always careful that I didn't keep anything in the back pocket of my jeans, because wahan se kuch bhi nikalna is very, very easy. And even if I had to, I always had a hand there on my pocket. So, you know, the double surety, whenever you are carrying a bag that you're hanging on your back, be sure that you are cautious enough. I mean, I remember whenever I used to walk in the streets of Rishikesh, I always used to be cautious. If anybody is walking behind me, I always used to hold my bag like that, or I used to hang it in front of me so that I'm sure that nothing is going to happen to my bags and stuff. Also be sure that if you, God forbid, ever face any such situation where you feel that your security is getting threatened or anyone is trying to do something wrong or bad to you, just shout, just call out for help. There are a lot of good people in this world who genuinely want to help and who come to help. You just need to call out. Don't just keep quiet and don't just sit quietly. Sehte mat raho. You will really feel good if you ask for help, and people do help. Now, coming to the most important question, and this one is like, I guess the second most commonly asked question, which is that if I went on a solo trip, who was that who was making my videos and taking my photos and all of that? So let me clear this out. I think this is a very dumb question. A lot of people also doubted the truth in the fact that was I really on a solo trip or did I go with someone that I don't want to reveal? And I mean, that's so stupid, but anyway, let me tell you that there are a lot of helpful people in cities, a lot of travelers whom if you go up to and ask that, can you click a picture for me or can you take a video for me, they are very helpful and बहुत खुशी सब videos और photos ले देते हैं. And for me as a content creator, I need to be बेशरम to go up to people and ask them कि please मेरा video ले दो, please मेरा photo खींच दो, because I need content, I need like shots and all of that. Also, to make this process easier, to make my vlogging easier, I rented a GoPro there. So for those of you who don't know, GoPro is a very small and compact vlogging camera that is very lightweight and very small. It's literally this small, itna sa hota hai, and it is really helpful क्योंकि मैं अपना बड़ा वाला कैमरा हर जगह कैरी नहीं कर सकती हूँ. एक तो डर लगा रहता है कि कहीं उसे कुछ हो ना जाए, गिर ना जाए, डूब ना जाए, कहीं मैं छोड़ ना दूँ. And also it's very heavy, so GoPro really helped me vlog around every place, so that way also it became easier. I had a selfie stick so I could shoot myself, click my pictures also, a few of them, and that's how I got all the footage and content. And lastly and most importantly, I want to talk about my top 3 takeaways or learnings from this trip. And number 1 is, if you really want to do something, if you really have an aspiration or desire, something that you really want to do, please take the leap and go for it. I know you're nervous, I know it can be a bit difficult in the start, but trust me, when you achieve it or when you do it, you feel really good. I remember the day before I had my train for Rishikesh, I was hell scared. I was so scared, and I was so nervous that will I be able to do this? What will happen on the trip? Am I taking a good decision to go on a solo trip? Will it be worth? Will it be not? I had 100 questions in my mind. But I'm so happy that I took the leap. I went to Rishikesh. These 5 days were the best 5 days of the year till date. Number 2, learning that a solo trip taught me is to be besharam, is to be extrovert, is to go up to people, talk to them, initiate conversations. And so because when you're traveling alone, you don't really have anyone to talk to. So whenever I used to see strangers, whenever I used to see people around, I really wanted to talk to them. So I went up to, I remember a lot of foreigners, a lot of Indians, asked them, okay, hi, what is your name? Where are you from? I'm Mitali, I'm from Agra, and all of that. I did so many conversations, I made so many new friends, I learned the art of networking. How do you go up to people? How do you network with them? That was the best part about my trip. And number 3 is fighting and facing my fears. When I was a kid, I almost drowned at the beach once, and that always left a fear of water in me. After that, I learned swimming and everything. I overcame my fear to an extent, but I always had this akele jaane wala fear in my heart. But this time I went rafting all alone, and this sort of helped me fight my fear so well. I felt so fearless and so independent when I came out of the rafting thingy. I felt very good. So like, yes, solo trip makes you independent. Solo trip, you know, makes you rediscover yourself. It helps you spend time with yourself. And also, since I went to Rishikesh, this was a trip of sort of spiritual awakening also for me. I took a lot of yoga, meditation sessions, healing sessions. So this was basically a self-healing retreat, and I feel so good after this. I feel much better. Of course, the problems in life are not over, but I think I've got a lot more strength now to deal with those problems. So yes, this was more or less what I wanted to share with you about my solo trip and all the questions that you had regarding it. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope you got some value out of this. If you did, do not forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Let's hit 10K soon, guys. Okay, bye.